Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Sapna Dadwal. I'm working as a professor in the Department of Management at St. Andrew's Institute of Technology and Management. This is lecture 14 of Organizational Behavior from Unit 4. This subject is taught in CSE, ETC, Civil Engineering 4th semester. This is the last lecture of Organizational Behavior. The topic I'm going to cover in this lecture are organizational change. I'm going to discuss definition of organizational change, then going to discuss features of organizational change, factors influencing organizational change, process of organizational change, and types of organizational change. As I've already told you, this is the last topic of the syllabus of organizational behavior, which is taught in BTech, CSE, ETC, and Civil Engineering. So let's start with the definition of organizational change. Organizational change is the process of changing an organization's strategy, processes, procedures, technologies, and culture, as well as the effect of such change on organizational. So in other words, organizational change refers to any alteration that occurs in total work environment. Organizational change is an important characteristic of most organizations. An important organization must develop adaptability to change, otherwise it will either be left behind or be swept away by the forces of change. Organizational change is inevitable in a progressive culture. Modern organizations are highly dynamic, versatile, and adaptive to the multiplicity of changes. So, organizational change refers to the alteration of structural relationship and roles of people in the organization. It is largely structural in nature, and an enterprise can be changed in several ways. Its technology can be changed, its structure can be changed, its people can be changed, and other elements also can be changed. So organization calls for the change in individual behavior of the employees. Now the features of organizational change. First is movement from one state of balance to another. Change involves moving from the existing state of balance to a new level of equilibrium. It disturbs the old equilibrium and develops a new equilibrium where new ways of working become part of system. Second is in whole or part. So a change may involve in some parts of the organization, and it may be technological, structural, or people, or the organization as there is a change in an organization as a whole. So even if a change is introduced in part of the organization, it affects the entire organization. So change in one part, for example technology, require change in learning of people and may be structured to adapt that technology. Third feature is it is pervasive. The process of change is not restricted to one organization or to one country only. It is worldwide phenomenon. The whole world, all countries, every organization, its members and all individuals change their pattern of working. However, the nature and magnitude of change is different for different organizations. The next feature is responsive to environmental factors. So change is affected by external and internal factors of the organizations. So this I'm going to explain it later. Now continuous process, next one is continuous process. Change is not one time process. Organizations keep on changing their policies to survive and grow in the competitive markets. While some changes are minor and get absorbed in a system through internal changes, and major changes are introduced with the change agents. Now the next one is it is an essential activity. Change is not a force that organization may or may not respond to. If organization want to survive, change has to be accepted by them. They can, however, plan the change or react to change. The former approach to change is conducive to organizational development and growth. The next one is change agents. Change is initiated by change agents. Change agents can be internal or external to the organization. Internal change agents can be top executives of the organizations. External agents are outside experts or advisors appointed by the executives to initiate the change process in the organization. Now, the next topic is forces of change or factors influencing organizational change. First is driving forces. These forces drive the organization to initiate the change. They encourage the organization to accept environmental change. Need for higher productivity, commitment to work, desire for promotion, and career development are the driving forces that encourage people to accept change. Second is restraining forces. These forces restrain organization to accept change. Organizations continue with their current working standard as people resist changes. Laziness, habits, domestic problems, and routine nature of work are the restraining forces that discourage people to accept change. To survive, grow, and develop in the industry, firms spur the driving forces and reduce the restraining forces. Now, factors affecting organizational change. The change is a sense of organizational life. Organization have to anticipate or respond to change to be successful in the long run. So the factors which necessitate organizational change fall into two categories. So we can say factors can be divided into two categories. First are internal factors and second one is external factors. So I'm starting with internal factors which affects the organizational change. First internal factor is efficiency. Organization wants to perform better, earn more profits. So for employees and shareholders, so this is possible if they consistently review their policies and reorganize their structure to do better. So change is therefore desirable to achieve higher level of efficiency. Second internal factor is control. People at high managerial post wants to retain control over organizational activities. They have their own philosophies and ways of working. So they introduce new organizations changes, design, control system, which are followed in the whole organization. The next one is leadership. Dynamic managers introduce change because they want to lead the market. Change in one business forces others to adopt the changes. The next is internal pressures. Attitude of employees also enforce change. Dissatisfaction with the working conditions, pay structure, and internal personal relationship reflect negative behavior towards managers, which may force employees to change their policies, procedures, and strategy. Change is therefore enforced to develop cordial relations in the organization. The next is change in workforce. So changes in managerial personnel also require the organization to change its values and philosophy. Changes in operative personnel like new workers who are educated, more educated, skilled and competent also require the organization to change its values and belief to match those who join the organization. There may be changes in leadership styles and motivation system to deal with the knowledge workers. The next internal factors which influence the organizational changes, internal inefficiencies. Organizations may change their structure because of internal inefficiencies like imbalance between narrow and wide span of management, centralization and decentralization, line and staff relationship, internal and external environment, communication system, etc. Improvement in these areas require changes in the organization structure. Now comes the second category, external factors, because till now we have discussed internal factors which influences the organizational change. Now I'm starting with external factors which influences the organizational change. So some of the external factors which affect the change are as follows. First one is market factors. Organizations operate in a volatile markets. Various market forces related to buyers and competitors affect competitive position of the organization and promote changes to remain competitive in the market. So factors related to buyers are demand, change in consumer taste, preference, income of the consumer, etc. and those are related to competitors are policies of competitor, products, suppliers, etc. So new companies promote diversification, product deletion, disinvestment, core competencies to gain distinctive advantage, etc. Now the second is economic factors, changes in economic conditions, exchange rate and interest rate fluctuations, fiscal and monetary policies, inflations, and cost of living necessitate change in the organizational policies. Then the third external factor which influences the organizational change is social factors. The norms of pollution, safety, and working conditions, health consciousness, geographical movement of workers, their age composition, education, etc. are the social factors that affect the organizational policies. So organizations are the creation of society and have to take care of social factors in making adjustment in their plans, policies and procedures. Then next is technological factors. The modern world is facing to constantly changing technology, information system, computerization and decision support system. If organization fail to update their technology and management information system, they will not be able to survive in the market. The next is political factors. Business enterprise and government activity interact with each other. Changes in government policies with respect to taxation and corporate governance, new laws and court decisions require the organization to change their policies according to these regulations. Then comes natural factors. Natural calamities like floods and earthquake also require changes in the policies of the organization. Organizations are an open social system and cannot ignore the impact of these their operations on the society. Social responsibilities are part of organizational operations, which changes according to the need of the environment. So, for example, providing medicines, clothes, food, and monetary help may not be a part of organizational social agenda, but natural factors may require it to do so, not only from the point of view of ethics, but also its survival. Now, the next one is educational factors. Educated employees, shareholders, labor unions, customers, and suppliers require organization to change their structure to come up to their expectations. New employees, new managerial personnels, new suppliers with different education level and background necessitate organization to change their policies to accommodate them. Then comes global factors. Globalization and liberalization require changes in the policies of the organization to compete with multinational corporations operating in the home country and the host country. So companies of different countries have different cultural and social values. Since they interact with each other in the globalized world, changes have to be made in organizational processes to be interactive with each other. Home country, I would like to explain home countries where the head office of the multinational corporation is, for example, PepsiCo. The PepsiCo's home country is America, whereas India and other countries where it is having operations or offices are the host countries. Now the next one is process of organizational change. There are three steps involved in the organizational change. First is unfreezing, then changing or moving, then refreezing. So I am starting with first, that is unfreezing. Unfreezing makes the need for change inevitable to members so that they become ready to accept the change. It develops in people a belief that present system of working is undesirable and change is desirable. It motivates people to move from old and traditional ways to new and modern ways of working. The driving forces empowers the restraining forces, and people therefore do not resist change. They welcome change and participates in its implementation. Resistance to change is eliminated by the members or managers by building trust and confidence among the employees, by enhancing motivation, by improving communication, by participative decision making. Now the second step is changing or moving. Once people are ready to accept the change is initiated by learning new ways of doing things. New information is collected, new concepts are developed. Members are trained to implement the concepts, and present perspective and attitudes are changed. New behavior is promoted, new beliefs and new attitudes are developed, and existing value system is changed in the organization. Members identify themselves with the changed value system and internalize them by changing their behavioral norms. Thus, changes are introduced and people adjust their behavior to the changed norms. Now the third step is refreezing. Though change is desirable, people generally resist change. Despite learning new ways of doing things, they tend to revert to old behavior. So after working in a changed environment for some time, refreezing attempt to make change permanent till there is need to reintroduce change. So third step is to refreeze whatever change is may introduce in the organization. It means locking the new behavior pattern into place by means of supporting or reinforcing mechanism so that it becomes a new form or new norm in the organization. Then people realize that change will affect their future behavior. So reinforcement of behavior is therefore the aim of refreezing. And refreezing can be done in the following ways. Managers can motivate subordinates to accept change as permanent feature by relating changed behavior with reward system. Managers can understand the needs of people and relate them with organizational needs. Fulfillment of organizational goals is viewed as a means of fulfilling individual goals. Then managers make understand people, or managers can understand the reasons why people resist change and overcome their resistance. So these are the ways through managers can motivate employees to not to resist the change. Now types of organizational change. There are two types of organizational change. The first one is reactive change. It is a change in reaction to an event. This change is initiated due to pressure of external forces. Changes are made in response to situations and are primarily unplanned in nature. Managers make quick changes to deal with the problem as they do not have enough time to analyze the situation and prepare a well-conceived plan. Changes are made in responsive to environmental events, threats, and opportunities. For example, if an epidemic calls for immediate supply of drugs by the pharmaceutical industry, it is a reactive change. Then comes second is a planned change. It is a systematic change, wider in scope than reactive change. It follows a proactive approach to change. Managers increase organizational effectiveness by anticipating the forces causing change and plan ahead to deal with them. They anticipate environmental threats and opportunities and carry out the change process in a phased manner. These changes are important for survival of the firm. They involve huge financial and non-financial resources and are planned in a scientific and systematic manner. Now approaches to planned organizational change. The following are the approaches to the planned organizational change. First is structural changes. Organizational structure is the organizational design which defined authority, responsibility, relationship, communication system, centralization and decentralization, division of jobs into smaller units, and integration of individuals and group tasks to achieve the organizational goals. The organization structure doesn't remain static. It is a dynamic in nature and changes according to the requirement of the internal and external environment. So, reorganization among various work groups may require organization to change form. It may be functional to divisional structure. It may be centralized to decentralization. It may be wide span of control to narrow span of control. The now second is technological changes. Technological changes refers to change in tools, equipment, processes, knowledge and techniques to produce goods and services. So technological changes refers to change in any aspect of technology to improve the goods and services and add product to existing line of goods and services. So technological changes help to compete in the dynamic domestic and international market. Changes in competitors, technology, for example, require changes in firm's technological requirement also. Since technological changes are related to method of production, they actively involve people at lower level of the organization. Now comes people or human resource changes. Structural and technological changes focus on task related activities, whereas activities are in relation to be implemented by the human force. Whereas human resource changes focus on changing the human behavior, skills, knowledge, attitude, and belief to increase organizational performance. So change in people can be brought in the following ways: by training and development, or by training and development. Training and development can improve behavioral skills and knowledge of the human force. Then recruitment and selection procedures can be changed to appoint people with desired skills and knowledge to manage these jobs efficiently. Then organizational development techniques can be adopted to change behavior and attitude of people towards the work environment. These are the questions which are related to the above topic. If any query is there, please do contact me. Thank you so much.